Okay, you guys should be able to hear us now. Is this switching?
Hello.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh my God.
There we go.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, and everyone can, okay, they can hear. Perfect. Beautiful. I'm going to turn the trumpets down.
Oh.
What's up?
I have to hold perfectly still. This is what you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah, it's locked in.
Do you want to?
I can go that way as far.
You can adjust.
There we go. There we go. Perfect.
I can. I'll just.
I'm gonna hold perfectly still.
I'll adjust it. It's fine. I'll just like famous last words.
Miranda's got to have her head.
I'll give you a little bit more room so you have. There you go. Oh my gosh! Hello.
Hello.
How's it going? I wonder if I can just. Yeah. Cool. Man, dude, I'm so nervous. I'm like shaky. This is super fun.
What are you talking about? You stream all the time.
Dude, this is so different. This feels so different.
It's exactly the same. You'll be
it's
fine.
exactly the
it's
same.
Official.
I'm just.
It's an official thing. Yeah.
See, we make it official, and then it's like. But hello, yes, DinCon.
Hello.
We're doing it. We have a bunch of talks coming, but we tried to write a list of like stuff to talk about. We're going to start with introducing ourselves, and we'll kind of go down the list of things. And we can use this also as an opportunity to test doing the the questions. So I think we'll see if we can get the. Is your favorite talk so far? Nice. All right. Yes.
Thanks.
But yeah, so I'll start. So I'm Dynasty or Jeremy, creator of the Empire, the Dynasty Empire, as you guys have named it over 10 years ago. Yeah, I'm just here vibing, trying to make the best of everything that we can do here. Would you like to go, Miranda?
Sure. Hi, I'm Miranda. I think I've been here right at either 10 or 9 years at this point. I'm not entirely sure. I have to go check the join date. I'm the community manager, which is just a nice way of saying professional bot wrangler. I mostly do a lot of the back end stuff.
Nice. Tyler, would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Tyler Oliver. I've been uh, in the community for maybe like I want to say 5 or 6 years now, pushing that, and then as a mod, maybe like a year or two. A year.
Something.
Time is tough.
Yeah, I don't think about time these days. Were you here for
Time is
Yeah.
weird.
the last DinCon?
Yeah, I think that's roughly when I joined.
Okay, yeah, so it's been like
5 years then.
5 years. And then Nick, would you like to go?
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm the floater. I'm all over the place. Basically, coming up with ideas with the challenges, helping fight the bots, and coming up with ideas that hopefully will have some fun things for you guys later. And lost my sanity running the Adventures Museum. So,
Oh yes, we'll talk about that.
but
We'll
yeah.
talk about that.
But yeah, I've been here for like six years. Oh my god, I forgot.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's a lifetime. Let's call it that.
Yeah. Oh man. So I'm furniture here as well. So I guess maybe we can go into the topics because right after this talk, about like 55 minutes from now, we'll switch over to Alex and he'll have his talk. So we're gonna try and go through all the stuff we wrote down, but maybe we won't get through all of it. We'll see. But like I was saying, we're at like the 10-year mark. I think it was a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago or 3 months ago, which is crazy. I mean, even the emperor himself, the doggo, he was in here earlier wishing me luck. My partner's like, if you're freaking out too much and things are going crazy, I can fake a fire. we can cut the stream.
Well, that doesn't work now. You've told us all.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, I'll start shaking things. Maybe Malmo's having like a weird earthquake thing.
Yeah.
It's happened
Earthquake,
once.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the last time we had a DinCon was 5 years ago. And on our list of stuff we're talking about is we've got the meetups that have happened so far. And I don't know, I think in the 5 years, we've also done the Malmo Copenhagen meetup, no?
Yep.
So we've done that one. I went to that one for obvious reasons. I was nearby. But then we had one in Prague. I went to that one as well. But then we also had one in Poland, and that's the first one I did not go to, which was a weird sensation to not be there. But yeah, I don't know. You guys have not gone to any of these. I know that North America is quite far from Miranda and Nick.
Tragically, I live in the States, and
Yeah.
nothing is connected by trains here. We all have to either fly or drive.
Right.
There's been talk of a stateswide North America style meetup, but again, we're a big continent, and we got people from like East Coast, Central, West Coast, North, South, all over the place. So it's like, it always kind of falls apart. Hopefully, one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to do one over there. I probably need to renew my passport first because
Yeah.
I can't enter the country as a Swede if I'm also American. They'll flag it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that also like on this list we're talking about the creation of the Empire Command was another thing that I put together through Notion, and it's just trying to collect all the resources. It's this bigger idea of making sure that there's a resource hub for everyone to like have stuff at, but the maintenance of it and getting it on board is super heavy. So maintaining it is almost impossible. Which kind of leads. I don't know if you guys have contributed at all to it or touched any part of it at one point.
I've been approved a couple of the writings. That's about it.
Yeah. Because DEF CON also built what do you call it? The weapons library, which I also that thing's crazy. If you're a weapons artist, look up the Dynasty Empire weapons library. It's like a huge database.
Do you want to post it in the chat?
Yeah.
That was big. That's
a
big
huge
feat, so.
huge file. I'm gonna have to find it first. But yeah, the other thing that with that whole database, the idea of like sharing all this information is kind of where I started to go with this thing that I started building called the Game Dev Codex. I went on vacation, and instead of vacationing like fully, I couldn't help myself and started like trying to build this database that will eventually, the idea is that it would replace the Empire Command and be more like name-wise would make more sense. Like, who's going to find Empire Command if you're not part of the Dynasty Empire? You got to make it a little easier to locate things. I think I can switch to, so you guys won't see this, but I can switch to the website inside of OBS.
I have the stream up, so
Yeah. So maybe you can see it.
yeah.
So yeah, so this is the idea of it is essentially it's a site that allows you to create posts. You don't even have to have a login, thanks to Jolin's suggestion in chat. So you don't have to have a login, and you can create a post, and moderation will then approve it, or any of the, so there's admins and mods for this. And then you can see like the idea is to have career advice and techniques and fundamentals and all of the topics combined. And the thing I really like about this site is the idea that it can be powered by the community. So the future would be to take take a suggestion of a topic and turn that into a thread to talk about the topic and invite people to be part of that, and then derive a post from that with quotes from the people, so that you have like an actual resource that was built with useful information from the people inside of the Empire itself. But yeah, I'm like nerding out about it really hard. And if you need a light mode, there's a light mode. I'm not gonna flashbang anyone, but yeah, I'm really excited about it. Like, I think it's the future of like how to share this type of information that's like community driven. But yeah.
Man, I'm just thinking back to uni when we had to like find quotes from people in the industry on like up our resources and like our understanding of techniques and stuff. Like I could just open this site and find 10 new quotes from someone about a resource.
Would be, yeah. What's the next topic? Man, my brain is like, oh yeah, and then I'm just like done. The next topic we were talking about is the group projects, which the first one was the Christmas scene, which we do monthly challenges, right? And the server is always like, hey, what's the next challenge going to be? Ibby is like notorious for going like, can we have another challenge? And but then he doesn't participate in it. He just wants to see the next challenge. So he's always like pushing us to make the next challenge.
You could like have a stopwatch on like at the first of the month when Ibby just goes like, all right, there we go, you know.
Yeah. So then he's like, oh yeah,
is.
when's the next one? So there's always this drive to do it, right? The Christmas scene, you guys weren't in that, were you? I know that.
I was present, but I wasn't participating.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. I think I was like doing other things at the time.
Because Reed was in that as well. So it was thematically. What's going on?
Yeah, I posted it.
Oh.
So you can bring it up if you want to show it.
I'm like, where did you post it?
In the literal voice chat of this thing on the right hand side.
Oh man, if I do that, everything's gonna explode.
Oh.
You can post it in the chat of the stream.
Okay, I will do that then.
Like everything is gonna explode.
Unlimited power.
But that turned into like, it was a challenge like normal, a monthly challenge, but a few people decided to band together to like make it, which really inspired the next one, which you were part of, Nick, the Adventurers Museum.
Yes.
How's it going with that one?
That one, okay, so that one was a bit of herding cats. We learned a lot. I want to thank everybody that is in chat that was participating in it, and everyone else is just learning about it now. Understand that probably a lot of the pitfalls that we don't have with the current audit project is because we figured a lot of it out in the museum. It was a lot of fun. I mean, some of the art that we came out is nuts. And it was really fun having the day of like, all right, everyone just post it and just flooding the front page of ArtStation where you just saw
Yeah, it was like a
Museum,
release.
Yeah.
it was like the quiet release where we're not having this display and everyone's just dropping things, and because we got a lot of views like, hey, what is this? And it was really cool. I'm really proud of how it came out, and we, regardless for all the headaches and road bumps that we had, everyone did really, really good. And I think like maybe like one or two issues that we had to talk about, but beyond that was like, all right, here's some things just to make things smoother and going forward. And yeah, I think everyone did a fantastic job, and can't be prouder of how that came out, because honestly, I love it.
Yeah.
I even went back and like made sure like we actually made sure that I think we somehow lost the viable version and we fixed it. And I know you got it archived
Yes.
finally, because we were like, oh no, where is it? And we've got it. So we do have a save version somewhere. I think
Yeah,
I've got a version, so does you.
We
So
should
that's
figure
good.
out what to do with that. It would be interesting to just release it so people can just have it.
Yeah.
Najer's in chat too, and Najer was part of that as well. But yeah, and then, dude, Audit 13 went from like, oh yeah, let's do like this group project just like the museum. Oh, it'll be
Yeah.
so cool. And then I was so hyped about it in my mind that I made a trailer, and I'm like, yeah, dude, this is the vibe. This feels really good. And people signed up, and then it was like, I wanted to make sure that you learned about production and like the whole like pre-production and planning and documentation, and the signups were like crazy to the point where teams got onboarded earlier than they should have. So then you've got people waiting around for like, what do I build? And then some of them build stuff that isn't going to fit because they don't know what they're supposed to build yet. And so it's been it's like a different type of headache of like trying to solve this big machine. And I want to say that I'm extremely excited about it, because when it is done, which I'm hoping is soon, when it is done, it's like, we'll make sure that it goes on like on Steam and on any other platform that allows for like uploading of projects, because it's a way for you to not only experience the full production, but then also come out of it learning a bunch of like skills that are like secondary to being an artist, as being more of like a game developer. Nice, Miranda. You were quick. Yeah, so the project is coming along pretty nicely. It was supposed to be 3 months, but after we got the narrative delivery, it was very clear that either I ask us to cut down a lot of the narrative to make it fit into the 3 months, which, if I look back at it, we probably should have just done that. But
Would have been easier.
it would have been easier. But we're just going full steam ahead, and now we have a strike team, and we're looking at each like location place by place, having a meeting every Monday, and then syncing up with anyone that's in the team that can help us wrangle all the little topics that are in there. Because it's
the empire. When do we do
huge.
things easily?
Yeah.
You're talking to a guy who took a vacation
Alan.
to write a website,
Dude.
So-
I mean, I'm on vacation right now too. Like, to be fair. This is day 2 of vacation. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything you wanted to say about Audit 13, or we can move on to the next topic.
I was gonna be part of this, but right at the time I was like gonna sign up just in case anybody like saw I want to be part of this. A lot of spinning plates fell in my life, so I had to back out. But every time I pop in, it's really cool, and I really cannot wait till the guys finalize it, because every time I go in, it's like, that's cool. I want to be part of that. I have too many responsibilities. I can't be part of that right now.
No.
You can come in for
But
polish and bug fixing,
I can help with that. Yeah.
or help us manage we have a Notion database now that's like tasks and then bugs, and but yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in it, and I think after it's done, I will probably pause our challenges for a little while, just to let everyone breathe for a little bit. But yeah, it's looking really cool. It's looking really, really cool. But yeah, on the next topic, which what we're at, it's 8:20 right now, so we're doing okay. The next topic's about 2026 and 2027, just at like a snapshot. I don't know if Tyler, if you want to talk about this this section more than me.
Yeah,
Not
I
to put
suppose
you
I
on the
can do.
spot. This was not part of the plan.
It was not, but it's cool. Yeah, so 2026, we got a lot of cool things coming up. A lot of it is not necessarily like concrete plans, more just like ideas of what we want to do throughout the year. And a lot of that is to do with meetups. There's lots of talks of meetups going on right now. I believe, are we locked in on October?
I think we are locked in on October, and so there'll be
Okay.
voting coming.
Yeah, so voting coming soon on locations and what that looks like for the meetup. But that'd be cool. That'd be what is it the third or fourth meetup now?
Yes. No. There was the one literally days before the lockdown of COVID, and then
Amazing.
yeah,
Nice.
and then the three. So this will be the fifth one, right? Is that yes? No. This will be
fifth.
this will be the fifth one, I think. I'm not really counting them. I'm just like, let's go. But I've
Yeah, just keep
already
doing
I
it.
talked to my partner, and we're gonna go. We're gonna figure it out.
Nice.
We'll go wherever it ends
No
up
matter the
being.
location.
Yeah. But yeah, and then social plans for 2027. I guess we're talking about a possible meetup collab, which I think would be really cool. I don't know what that looks like. I did see Timothy in the chat. Maybe we can talk, Timothy. We can do like
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. XP, if XP's around, yeah. Dude, can you imagine Beyond Extent, EXP and Empire having like a meetup? Dude, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, I may be biased, but that may call for an England meetup.
Yeah. Oh
It'd
man.
be a
I
very
know that.
big space to rent too.
Yeah.
But
Need a big location
Get a
for that.
castle.
get a castle. I mean, there's castles here,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you guys want to come to Sweden again. But yeah, dude, I think that'd be really cool. And then I think Tyler, you wrote this one in, right? Maybe.
More guest speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is something we talked about kind of loosely throughout the year, just getting more guest speakers in to do, I guess, things like this, and just get more of the community involved, share knowledge the way that kind of the Empire does, but just get more people involved in that. Yeah, I think that's something we'll be looking to do a lot more throughout the year.
Yeah, I think it would be because while I like the format of DinCon, like this one, we're stretching out much more than the first one, mainly because of like mental fortitude and energy to be able to like put all this stuff together. But by having guests coming on like regularly, then it's not like a slamming everything together all at once to make an event. It's just a part of the ecosystem, if you want to say it like that. And then
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then you also wrote. I think we'd all discuss this a little bit as the post of the month. How do you guys imagine that working? Out of curiosity.
The way I originally envisioned it is, so we have the finished work chat, right? Everyone works so hard on a project. They post their link. Everyone reacts to it and like shares some love about it. And that's great. I love that. It would be cool if we could push that even further, and those like reactions to the post mean something, sort of like a voting system, or maybe even a separate system that we figure out somehow, but essentially getting the community to pull together and sort of vote on like the post of the month. And then we can push that on socials and however we can to like share that post and try and get that artist some engagement.
What posts is this about? It's just a question in chat. It's like when you finish a piece. If people,
Yeah.
you know, it's like we pick the one that's getting elevated the most that month, and like basically push it out on socials and just try and help that person get more traction. But
Yeah, like a vote and finished work. Yeah, because the way we currently do socials, and they've sort of trailed off more recently from like the more regular social posts, but that's kind of always just been us mods going through the finished work chat, finding some cool pieces that we like and posting about them. But we think it'd be like a really cool idea to get the community more involved. And so it's not just our 5 people's opinions on what is a cool piece of work. We got how many members now?
It's a lot.
Like we
15,000,
can get
a little over.
15,000. We can get a lot of people involved. Get some wider range of opinions.
Just seeing chat, dude. Chat's so funny. But yeah, and then so I guess kind of going on the tail end of this, maybe I can talk about the channel updates first, and then the survey thing. So I have this sensation when I look at the Empire that there's too many channels and threads and just hidden information. That's just, you know, part of it's the making the game dev codex to like try and like solidify some of that knowledge, but then also like even knowing where to go to have those conversations. We haven't really ever done like a full like 2.0 or 3.0, if you want to say it like that, of the structure. So I'm interested in sitting down with you guys and the other moderators to try and figure out like what's the format that looks better, is less to scroll through, is easier to find things, and then also includes the stuff that maybe people feel like is missing, which kind of goes into the survey topic with so after Alex's talk, we'll post the link in the announcements channel, as well as like the DinCon info channel, to just get some questions answered from you guys on just how the server feels to you, what you like about it the most, what you think would make it better. Just any of those types of topics. So we're going to be essentially looking at like how that all looks, and then come up with a plan, figure out how we want to shape the future of the server. And then I guess the last part's just a section on DinCon. So it's 8:27, dudes. We went through this pretty fast.
We made pace.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Did you guys have anything you wanted to
Excellent
add before any of this stuff? Like, how have you guys been doing? We can start with
well, good.
Yeah, we can start with Tyler because he's just.
What do you mean? Just like generally, how am I doing?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, sorry, it's like a very loaded question. It's like
yes, I'm so glad you asked.
Yeah. No, but I guess what you're liking about the server right now, like, what do you use the Empire for currently, other than moderating it?
Yeah,
it's a tough question, I know.
Yeah, for me, like, it sort of goes back to the too many channels things. Sort of since threads were implemented in Discord, I do find myself kind of staying away from that sort of thing. Whenever something threads, I'm like, well, this is too much. There's too many things to click. There's too many places to go. So I sort of find myself sort of going to like familiar channels to me, like the art discussion, tech discussion, career advice. Like those core discussion channels is where I'm spending my time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if with the idea of like a channel revamp, if because right now we've just got like the art topics channel, well, like category, right, and everything sort of lumped in there. I wonder if we split into like feedback, discussion, advice, I don't know, something like that, and sort of distinct the type of conversation that we're having more.
Yeah. There's also the possibility that we could just remove threads access for some channels Because right now,
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah.
anybody can start a thread in any channel. I can only
True.
think of a couple where that's actually relevant to like have threads in them. You don't need it for everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of features
Yeah.
of Discord that are just like throwing stuff
Yeah.
into our lap to like sort through.
Yeah, and they're all cool
Yeah.
features like individually. It's just like how do we get them all together and make use of all of them in the best way that makes sense for us?
Yeah, there's also the
There's a
onboarding
lot.
aspect of Discord, which we
Yeah.
just lightly touch to like control the what channels you feel like you want to see. Like Miranda, you were talking about, like right before we started, people were not able to find the DinCon section, which is like, oh, why is that? And it's because you can hide channels, and if it's not a default channel,
filtering.
yeah, the channel filtering,
Yeah.
which we don't actually have any control over if we expose channel filtering, which is just wild. But yeah, how about you, Nick?
I'm kind of liking it right now. I mean, I'm definitely open for a lot of it. I see that we do some like really interesting. I love Weibo the most. What are you working on? Because it's a great place for people just to drop their art in without getting any critiques or reviews. Because
Yeah.
you see stuff that's like, hi, I'm first year art student next to a professional doing something for like 13 weeks. And there's no one's arguing anything, and just love going on for everybody just being able to show off their work. Like, hey, you're doing something, we like it. And I see that constantly in there, which is nice. We do have, and I love the critiques. I love fast critiques just for the fact that it's like, all right, 1, 2, 3, notes, and we move on, and the ability to create like the separate channels for like, the bigger critiques. I wish there was a way to like, instead of doing a threads to like to turn it into from a thread into a channel. That'd be great, because like when someone's doing like a long, hey, I need help on something, that would be fantastic to be like, all right, this isn't a thread anymore. This is actually like a channel thing in critiques, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could be using that to try and identify a topic that often comes up, and then turning that into its own channel in that way. But no, it's a good point. The Weibo and the what was the other one? The fast critiques. Those remind me so much of Polycount, which is like, that was my social space when I was learning how to. I mean, I'm still learning forever, but that when I was a student, that was where I was going, and those two channels kind of remind me of kind of what that was to me. And if you go there now, it's still going. It's awesome. But you were gonna say something else, Nick, I think.
Oh yeah, I was like, but I also like that we're kind of doing a really good job of like splitting off sections of conversations. Like we do industry news, and though it's sad that we do have an industry layoff section, but we've also been doing very good jobs of reminding people they can just ignore this thread, because
yeah, I feel like it's a good use of threads in that sense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're doing I feel like in the general section, like we're doing a really good job of like threads. Like we have our little mini chats that don't get talked to, but like someone could say, like we have like the book chat. I am reading something cool. No one really goes into depth on that, and we kind of have like small conversations. It dies. That's fine. I love that. But I think it's the threads and all the big discussion stuff that like that's where we can probably clean up. But yeah, as of right now, if we were not to change anything, I think we're okay, and there's definitely room for improvements. And I think it's just that like we'll have to sit down and be like figure out what it is and get feedback from people saying like, hey, let's do this better. Let's do this other way that we weren't thinking of, and I think that's gonna make things better. And I know that once the audit's done and we can just drop a lot of the challenges
the challenge chat has turned into a whole production like Teams section for sure.
We could kind of like hide a lot. You'll have like less to scroll through and be like, oh no, where am I? And it's just like, because I know it can be daunting coming in going, oh my god, there's all this stuff going on, and I mean, even if we split that off into a production chat of like this is for audit and it's a different thing that people don't have to jump into right away.
Yeah,
is a good way, because we've really worked our butts to get this place to be very friendly, especially to anybody that comes in. Especially when we get all the teachers and art talk guys that are like, hey, join this Discord, and we get like 20 people show up. We're always trying to be welcoming, and I think like that little bit of, hey, we can
make it
make
less
it a little less
daunting.
daunting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. This is quickly turning into us like having a mod meeting. So
I was about to start.
yeah. What were you gonna
Yeah,
say? Let's go.
I was like, I can already think of like several channels right now that we could consolidate and branch out in. But
Yeah.
I agree with what Nick said. As soon as the audit is over, I think that's going to clean up significantly.
Yeah, it's a huge section. It's kind of like that's where I wish the channel filtering. It's like if you're interested in being part of challenges, you just press that button and then those channels would show up. And if you're like, I'm not part of the challenge, to be able to turn that off easily. It's also kind of difficult to find that feature in Discord, but yeah, once we complete audit, I think that will help a lot for sure. It'll cut at least I don't know, 10 channels or something like that.
Roughly.
Something like
more
that.
more than 10.
Give or take. But yeah, I guess I can. So I'll hop into the DinCon section and just kind of go off on that for a little bit, and then we'll take a bit of a break, and then we'll sync up with Alex and see how he's doing. But yeah, so for DinCon, so this time around we've stretched it out quite a bit more than usual, and it'll be the goal is to have them every Thursday. So generally, we're going to be talking about things like production, career advice. There's a couple panels. I don't know if you saw. There's man. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm completely blanking on all the names. But Netsura is going to be talking about their tree tool and even demoing how that all works inside of Houdini. So they're kind of integrating the high poly workflows with Unreal. And then we've got some panels like Miro, one of our moderators, Miroslav, will be on a panel with Jacob, just talking about. There's 4 people. I'm not going to try and list all the names. I'll just screw everything up. But essentially talking about the scope of what it's like, what their experiences have been like, all the challenges they've faced. And there's some interesting topics about taking the scale of a studio and how that changes your role. That's another panel that's going to be going. And then they're blanking me right now, so I'm not gonna dig too much deeper. But there's a ton of talks, basically tools, demos, career advice, and production. And then if you have questions, like you can put them in the chat here, or you can put them in our our DinCon questions for DinCon channel. Yeah. That's in the group. And we can pull from that and try and make sure you get your questions answered for each of the talks. This Thursday is us and then Alex. Next Thursday is Alwyn from he's one of the co-founders of the Rookies. We'll be talking about the importance of fundamentals in today's world with like all the stuff we're dealing with AI and all of that jazz. And there was another speaker for that day as well, but that person had to dip out. So we will do Alwyn's talk, and then there won't be another talk for that day. We'll just keep it simple. And then this is where it gets a little weird. And then I'm on vacation for the Thursday after that and the Thursday after that, and then we come back and start doing the rest of them for the foreseeable Thursdays. It's like I don't know how many, 4 more Thursdays,
I think four after that.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty excited about. Oh, there's even a question already. But yeah, the only other thing I would want to say in here is that all these talks, because this is the biggest question we keep getting asked, is all of these talks will be edited so they're separate, and then posted on YouTube so that they're easy to find and searchable and all of that. And then of course we'll post those in the server and link them to the respectable channels of the people that are being represented, which should be really cool. So, for example, Alex is going to be talking today, and his video would likely get linked to his mentoring that he's been doing with Jacob. And my brain is like Sierra Division, yes, the Sierra Division Academy, which is another mentorship program that Sierra Division's been doing. But yeah, so we have one question in chat, and I don't know if how would we link the questions for DinCon chat into the. I'm like, how would I do that? I guess you could copy
Link
a
it
link
into
to
the
it.
Twitch chat.
Yeah, here, I'll do it.
I think you can do that. Yeah.
There you go. But there is one question already. Is do you have to put questions in front of our questions? Do you have to put question in front of our question? Oh,
He's
I'm like,
asking
what do you
if,
mean?
like, question formatting.
Oh,
Like,
no, you
like,
can
do we
just.
put the capsule question.
I mean, if you do it in here, for sure, that might make it easier to find it. Martin's like, what? But yeah, one of the questions that came before the stream was like if we would be having the videos as VODs for the people that can't watch it live. But yeah, so I've linked it in chat. I don't know if someone wants to test it to see if it works. But yeah.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
I have 250,000 points on the Twitch channel. At what point can we do another You Go Buy Maru a Toy drive so I can empty out all those points?
Was it pretty? So last time we did that, brag about it, dude. He's not alone. That's the thing. That's the problem. If there's like, we had to do 2 million last time, right?
4 million this time.
Well, I mean, we were able to do 2 million in like 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, it was
got
quick.
100K. Yeah. Because I mean, we could do that again because he's always needing new toys.
Of course.
But yeah, I wonder. Let's see what we can do with those, because I think there's a bunch of stuff we could do with them, not just the. But of course, Madu needs toys. So
did I start the DinCon stretch goals?
Stretch goals? Yeah, oh, dude. I'm like, wait, what? No. Oh.
Yeah, at like 20 million, Jeremy's gonna do Just Dance for us.
Yeah. No, I'll start streaming, and then like it's being mentioned in chat, the pointathon, where basically more points you spend, the longer I have to stay on stream.
Oh God, no.
A 48-hour stream.
It'll be longer with that many points, because I think there's even a cap to how many points you can be spending. Yeah. But it does not look like. So I'm not really expecting questions from our little sync up. But I want to know if it. I mean, I think it works.
Yeah, it does. I mean,
it works. It opens the web for me.
Okay, good. Okay, all for charity, dude. There's so many points. It's crazy, and I've never known what to do with them. We should probably come up with a contingency plan for dealing with all these points. Because Madu, I don't even think Madu can handle it with the amount of toys he would get from that.
Tell me that scene from E.T. where you just open the closet door and stuff the animals and just Maru's hidden in there.
Yeah, he would probably look just like one of the other toys. But okay, I guess maybe we can call it here, unless you guys have anything else that you want to. Oh, Alonia has a question.
I feel like I should be doing like an @ here in the questions for DinCon. Like, you post questions here.
Oh, yeah.
I think I could.
Yeah, go for
that'd
it.
be good.
Where's the mustache? Oh no.
You forgot to put it on.
Did you go with the handlebar
dude,
mustache
I
for
forgot
a
it.
while?
So
There you go.
I had a pretty big mustache, and then nice. Thank you, Miranda.
You're
But
welcome.
I think with my hair being how it is now, it'd probably be really weird to have a mustache with it. Unless I was walking around with cowboy boots, maybe. Maybe I could do that. I'll probably be the only one in Malmo with cowboy boots.
I want to see you in a goatee just so we can see what evil Jeremy looks like.
Evil Jeremy.
What the hell? I have a photo of that somewhere.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, and just for a heads up, for people that were saying, thank you for saying I have a beautiful beard in chat. We've hit European weather out here, so this is likely going to be gone after the weekend.
No way.
Yeah, we've hit the 90s, and we've got doesn't seem like it's going to be ending anytime soon. So,
Dude, crazy. Okay. Okay. Wow.
but I'll grow it back. It's not gone forever. It's
Yeah.
yes, I have not gotten rid of this beard in like 10 years.
Dude,
So
Martin's got a beard.
wonder-
I'm curious if he's ever gonna ever remove it. How
Martin,
long
is
have
your
you
beard still gigantic?
Yeah. Not happening. Well,
Yeah,
he's
not
definitely not
happening.
gonna remove it. He says yes. Oh yeah.
Oh no, we got to make here's a point. We can do a point vote, or keep the beard versus not keep the beard, and you throw points in there for me.
BeardCon? Oh my god.
BeardCon.
We'll have a beard off at the DinCon, the Din meetup.
Beautiful.
That'll be the
Beautiful. Dude, we're just spinning these. We've got 15 minutes. We can just keep it going. My god. I'm interested to see this, Nick. You know, the music that was playing before this call started is still playing in my ears. It's been on loop this whole time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's like
Why?
I just never paused it. I don't know, like it just keeps going. But I think we can pause it here then, and then it'll give us time to calibrate Alex if he's around, and we can either start a little bit earlier or we can wait until the 9-minute mark. I'll let Alex decide on that. But cool.
Do we want to, before we do that, where are we dropping the survey?
Where are we
Are we gonna
dropping the
do that
survey?
now?
Oh, so after Alex's talk, we would drop it, and
Okay.
we'll put it in the DinCon info channel, and then we'll also put it in the announcements channel,
Great.
just so it kind of hits everyone.
Awesome stuff.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Coming
Yeah,
to
of
this
course.
weird formatted mastery behind the scenes setup to make this work. Really
You
appreciate
feel
it.
calmer now?
Do I feel calmer? Oh, dude.
Yeah. I got to bring the anxiety back to the
Dude.
proper levels.
No, it has not. Well, it's kind of okay. It's kind of okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine until the next Thursday. But yeah, that talk will be at lunchtime, my time. So that's going to be very, very odd. But
Fun.
thank you guys again for everything that you've been doing and helping with the event, as well as like just helping me be able to sleep because the server is not on fire because of bots or something. Oh man, freaking Mr. Beast, that guy, he just does not stop ever. Yeah.
I'm gonna win one of these giveaways. If
Yeah.
I win.
Eventually.
And the community, thank you guys. Like, this is crazy. Like, I always am like telling myself, like, dude, how do we push it more, or how do we help more people? How do I help you guys help more people? I think is the way I need to start framing it, because I only have 2 hands. But cool.
Whoever can keep their hands on the Discord server wins the car.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I did not make that promise. I cannot buy a car. But all right. I guess we'll see you guys in a minute or so. But yeah, thank you again. See you guys. Say hi to Alex for me.
Bye.
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 All right, here we are. We're gonna give Alex the stage here. He showed me something interesting in his presentation. I'm just gonna let you do your thing, and I need to hide your camera before, or you can kill your camera, and that'll. That's the stream. Just give me a sec here. Watch stream. And then there you go. Beautiful. Okay. All right. I'm going to hand it over to Alex. Take it away, dude.
Sweet. So, yep, my name's Alex Beddows. I'm an expert environment artist. That's No Moon. Before we dig into it, obviously, I want to say a big thank you to Jeremy and everyone involved in running the Dynasty Empire. Putting on talks like this is no small feat, but doing the biggest part to help the environment art and the games industry in general. So all the hard work you guys put in does not go unnoticed. So thank you. Yeah, this talk is called Pretty Isn't Playable. I want to give fair warning. Every time I need to give a new talk, I try to pick an angle or find something I think will be of value, and I'm not just repeating somebody else's message with a different flavor. So I wanted to focus this talk a little bit more towards people entering the industry, sort of the junior environment artists, those becoming mid-levels, and focus on a slightly different angle that we don't speak about much in the environment art community. But before we get into that, a quick bit about me. I'm at That's No Moon. We just recently announced a trailer for Crossfire. I would encourage everybody, by the way, please try to get as many questions as you can in for the end Q&A, because I feel like every time I give a talk, most of the value comes from that Q&A. I will not answer anything about Crossfire, even if it's stuff which is public information. I would just rather not talk about it. So, I'm at That's No Moon. But before that, I've worked at a variety of places. I've worked at Respawn, working on Jedi Survivor, The Initiative on Perfect Dark, the Godfall franchise. I worked at ArtStation for a little bit, working as a learning content manager. And at Decagon, I worked in Outsource as both a lead and as a senior. So something funny, before we get into the talk, I want to acknowledge, this is the 10 years of the Dynasty Empire. I joined in 2017. I had my first review. You can see there's young Jeremy there. This is like 9 years ago. And I want to shout out, like, just how important this community is. A funny story or funny anecdote is there's a group of guys, a group of artists I met in here in 2017. I was a best man for them at their wedding on Monday, and those same 9 guys, which we all met in this community, were all there that day. So I wanted to stress how important this community is to people in their lives and how much it makes a big impact. But I've been involved with Dynasty for a long time. You know, I ran the podcast series, Game Dev Discussion, which not released an episode in 4 years, but it was with Jeremy. He helped me set this up and get this going. So that's my fluff of how great Dynasty is and how much we should all appreciate all the hard work that goes in. Back to the talk. So why give it? Why do I think this is a valuable talk to give? Well, I wrote a blog not long ago called "How Do I Improve as an Environment Art?" And the angle for this blog and the reason I wrote it is, as I run my mentorship program with Sierra Division, there is like the element of like hard skill acquisition, which we as environment artists focus on so much. You know, learning hard skills such as ZBrush sculpting, making materials, Unreal Engine, shaders, all of these sorts of skills, which are very important and crucial to our job as environment artists. But there's a whole other component about this, you know, the artistic eye and as an artist developing. So in this talk, I focused on things like understanding cinematography, and with some of the talks I linked, it's not necessarily just understanding cinematography, it's understanding your taste as an artist. And there was things like this I focused on, how to let go of the hard skills. Ian Huber being a fantastic example of, you know, being lazy doesn't mean you're a bad artist. Sometimes you can like take shortcuts that help you make amazing art, and you don't need to have the craziest skills behind it in order to, you know, make something look incredible. Focusing on a lot of the sort of cinematic pipelines that go behind all the big games out there, and also focus on a real nuanced look at composition and stuff like that. And that's what the talk focused. And I had a really great reception to this. And then I started asking myself, for this particular talk, how do I make this appeal or be useful to a game developer? And I looked back at my own career and where it's been useful for me. Because in the games industry, in your team as an artist, everyone's exception. You know, everyone's great. The selection process is so difficult to get a job in the industry that everyone on your team is already a fantastic artist. And making amazing art is kind of the bare minimum. Like, we are hired to do a job. And by the time you've got a job in the industry, you already have a lot of your foundational hard skills developed. Now, there's a caveat, and this is going to be something for the entirety of this talk. Every studio is different. And this is something you'll find as you go through your career. Everything is more nuanced. You know, early on, before you enter the industry, it's like, learn to sculpt, learn to make materials, learn to texture an asset. It's like, it's very accessible. Like, you very simple skills, just learn how to do these things. But as you progress, depending on the studio you go to and their workflows and where they put their focus and what an environment artist does in that studio, all start to make things a little bit murky and nuanced. So, under the assumption, this is like one ground truth we know every team is full of amazing artists, and we know you're hired to make amazing art. But one thing I've noticed, which is, you know, as I'm mentoring artists, is none of that matters if we make players feel like this. And that's the foundation of this talk, is how do we, as environment artists, contribute either positively or negatively in helping this not happen to our players. So let's first analyze, you know, what do we think about as an environment artist when we're given in studio a new task, a new area? What's on our mind? Well, some of the things that will fall under our sort of day-to-days would be stuff like shaders, materials, trim sheets, assets, which assets is this whole, you know, that's a whole umbrella anyway of, hundreds of things. World building, storytelling, decals, foliage, and lighting. Now, notice how one environment artist might not be responsible for all of these things. They need to have knowledge about all of them. And this is where our minds tend to go when we talk about the day-to-day job in environment art. These are the things that tend to get listed. But we are not just making portfolio art when we work in industry. We're making a video game, and that's a big team collaboration. And the team which is at the foundation of that is the design team. Everything's built on top of what they do. And one thing we need to think about is if we're the next step after design, we need to make sure we're building on top of strong foundations. So if we have weak foundations, it affects everybody. If we have a design layout, which we just go with, environment art do their thing, then VFX do their layers, then we do lighting and do the animation to make sure it all matches the environment, and we do audio. If we need a design change later on because we were begrudging and changing something, or we did not validate things correctly, this leads to downstream teams getting hurt. And it sounds like this is very easy to par this off as not my problem, but we collaborate as teams. And in game production, it's all about collaboration. So it's very easy for designers to say, hey, Mr. Environment Artist, we need to move this interactable door or this double jump location 2 meters to the right because the player can't see where they're going. And it's easy to come to the environment artist as a designer and ask that question, but sometimes it's easy to forget about the implications that will have on downstream teams like lighting and VFX, and even worse, audio. They're always the sort of forgotten child when it comes to making changes late in a production. So we understand why I'm talking about this. How do we actually start to sort of develop in this direction? And where it all starts is with empathy and understanding the challenges of design. So the same way there's a bunch of things that environment artists have to consider when they're making an environment, there's things design have to consider. For example, having good nav mesh, different AI archetypes, making sure certain archetypes working in the environment, make sure they play correctly, they able to navigate the environment. FSMs, making sure the state machine works, making sure tasks progress correctly, making sure you can't break progression, we can't break the game, making sure combats play out well, and well meaning they're both fun, challenging, but also all the little fringe cases work, and make sure we can't break progression here. And then economy and interacts. These are all elements where design, as you can see, also is the same as environment art. They may not necessarily touch all of these at the same time, but they have to be aware of them and consider them. They're the end team to implement a lot of this stuff. So where do you as environment art come in? Well, this is where we need to think about stuff like all of these assets we have to create, all of the shaders and the materials and the props and the world building. You impact the design of a game more than you necessarily realize. And this comes from things such as making golden paths not clear or noisy, or making stuff look climbable and lean into the mechanics of the game, uncomfortable geometry. These are all things as environment artists is very easy to break unintentionally. So we need to make sure we're keeping these things in mind. So some simple examples. Play pathing. Every studio I've ever been at makes this mistake, especially with younger environment artists. If we need to highlight a path, it is very easy to clutter up that path with detail, with props and environment art. And it's easy to say, well, the player can still navigate through this and it's not breaking the game. It's like, no, but is it clear? Is it clear where to go? And even without that, is the thing we're trying to show clear, like framing a character, taking a path? This is a side which I think you tend to see the most friction between environment art and design, is environment art changing the block out or not understanding the block out because they've over detailed or over set dressed. Another example is not understanding path clarity. The difference between highlighting a side path where we make the player feel clever and the golden path where it's kind of the obvious route. There's subtle things we do with our visual language which can make a player feel clever. And as an environment artist, it's so important that we communicate with our designers to make sure we execute on this. If these stepped ramps to our right was it said a very smooth, obvious path. The player wouldn't feel like they're taking a shortcut and being smart, being advantageous or tactical. Just like if there was nothing at all, if it was a super detailed, noisy image on the right, it could be a path. But if it doesn't look like one to the player and the player can't clearly see it, then we've completely nullified the design intent. So keeping in mind what the design intent is behind the player pathing is just one element. Another element is visual language. So we can be very clever with our visual language and make it feel sort of diegetic within the world by using color contrast and lighting and animation to help highlight a path. We can illustrate systemic systems. In this example, Last of Us, we know that this foliage, when it's at this height, is concealment. I can hide in it and be crouched and protected. Now, when environment art, then this is not a slight against any other games, but there is more obvious heavy-handed visual language. For example, the yellow X's or the yellow markings we put on video games. This is when it's just not clear enough to show the player what is or isn't interactable. And the same for systems. It's very hard in a very detailed world to strike a balance of what certain mechanics are within the game. So within Horizon, the red grass represents the grass we can hide in, and we can crouch in and be concealed. This is the kind of thing where the environment artists have such a big part to play, developing visual languages within the game. Like, it's not just a dictation from design onto us, like, we need tall grass and it needs to be bright green or whatever. It's a relationship. You problem solve, you iterate, and you are deeply involved in this. And it's very easy to just focus on beauty and what's realistic. Like, for example, the Last of Us image in the bottom left is easy if we're looking at reference or that kind of stuff to say, well, foliage doesn't grow like that. You don't get these hard 90-degree angles between a tree and the foliage. But to a player, it's extremely readable. And this is that balance we're always playing as environment artists. We're trying to make something look beautiful and realistic, depending on the game, beautiful and realistic, or making it readable and understandable from a player. And one other element about this is war tightening. This is like the bane of every environment artist in any game ever. And you need to understand your game, and you need to understand it very deeply. For example, in Last of Us, there's a jump mechanic and there's a mantle mechanic, and that's kind of it. So we know we can put, barbed wire and mossy foliage to signify you can't go here, and this works. Now, on Jedi, it was an absolute nightmare because Cal Kestis can double jump, he can wall run into a double jump. He had all these crazy mechanics, so water tightening him became increasingly difficult. And this is another thing where you have a relationship with design. As you're developing the language of a level, you're asking yourself the question, or asking the designer the question, does this read correctly? And the answer is probably no straight away. And it's going to take layers and layers and layers of iteration before it gets to a good point. However, all of this becomes worth it when you have immersive gameplay. And immersive gameplay is, I can play the game and I just instinctively know that, for example, in this image, I can climb on top of that red container, but I can't climb on top of the building. Immersion is the thing designers strive for. It's the experience of forgetting you're playing a video game. You're kind of in a flow state and you're able to just play instinctively, and you're not having to stop and wonder what the mechanics of the game will let you do. And this is the thing that designers are constantly trying to strive for. And it's a thing which, as environment artists, we can easily break. This is a very fine balance. And we've got to be very deliberate when we decide to break it. And this has been a thing forever. Like in a video game, as simple as like Abe's Odyssey on PlayStation 1. Understanding that exact gap is jumpable, and I don't have to experiment and die and then figure out how it works. I just know that gap is jumpable, and I know I can drop down to that ledge below me. The rules of immersion have always been the same. So us as environment artists need to be extremely present in the conversations of our visual language and very present in the discussions that go on when we're trying to figure this stuff out. And honestly, the best levels of video games are where we all get along. And it sounds really corny and cheesy, but I have worked on games where design and art are clashing heads and constantly, I'm not going to say undermine each other, but it's very easy to pull in opposite directions. And that leads to design by committee. It leads to ideas not reaching their best version of themselves. And it's very easy to do. And it's the thing which, if you take anything from this talk, it's you really want to learn to get along with your designers. And part of that is understanding the root cause of problems. And the most typical way this manifests in your day-to-day when you're working is a problem gets called out to you. The player gets lost. They can't really find the ledge. Okay, they can't find the ledge. Well, I'll paint it yellow. Okay, you're treating the symptom of the problem. You're not treating the root cause. Whereas if we treat the root cause and we work with the designer, it's all about, all the stuff to lead up to the problem and fixing them and making sure all those problems are solved. So understanding the root cause of any issue called out to you is one of the fundamental parts of being a good game developer, and especially as within environment art. And this starts with you need to aggressively understand your game. Again, this sound like there's probably people who are not in the industry yet who hear this statement and scratch their head and say, well, surely you understand your game. Not always. Like the nuances of the game, the game director's vision, and all the little details that go into making the big picture are not always well understood. And it is so important that you keep in mind, is your art supporting the game systems? In the Metal Gear Solid game, where in Metal Gear Solid 5, having extremely strict height rules of what Snake can and can't climb up helps the player maintain that immersion. And if you add art that makes that more unclear but looks better, unfortunately, you're undermining the design. So we have to keep asking ourselves, is the game art I'm making right now supporting the greater game vision? Understanding the mission flow and the neighboring content. This is one which will really bite you on the backside, because understanding where we're coming from and where we are going helps us make decisions. This is specifically an art thing, but also a design thing. For example, when we're working with our designers on a level, if we've just tutorialized something, we know the upcoming content is going to be very heavily based on exploring that new mechanic. Or if we've just had a really big narrative beat in the game, we know the next beat is going to be a very art-driven exploring what just happened in that narrative beat. If we've just come out of a really heavy gunfight or fist fight, whatever the game is we're playing, we know after that we're going to need some sort of downbeat and the pace to it. So there's the gameplay aspect of it, but there's also the art side of it. If we have just come off a motif, let's say, let's just go to Tsushima as an example. We come out of a scene where we're riding a horse through a beautiful yellow field. But we know the next beat of the game, we can't really repeat that motif. And again, this sounds really obvious, but teams work in isolation. Not all environment artists are in perfect communication with each other. And it's very easy for one person to execute on an idea, and then you have the same idea and you try to execute on it, and suddenly you've now got a repeated idea and it's not very cohesive. So we need to be asking ourselves, is our art supporting design and narrative? And is our neighboring content conflicting with what we're currently doing? So these are sort of the homework side of things. This is about game knowledge and all that kind of stuff. Now for the one which environment artists are the most guilty for, which is geocomfort. Geocomfort has so many different aspects. You've got, does the character look silly navigating over this geometry? Is the geometry too noisy to even read as a path? Does the camera behave weird because the geo's too noisy? Do my metrics work out? Is it a comfortable metric? These are all things which is easy to overlook because it requires rigorous playtesting. And then the one thing which is always also overlooked is nav mesh. Is the geometry I'm placing still generating clean nav mesh? It is the thing which I think causes some of the most friction between art and design. Is art changing geometry that affects nav mesh and it breaks nav mesh? And because we're not always aware of it, it is easy for conflict to arise. So if you're gonna take anything, like, please keep an eye on NavMesh environment artist. It will save you all the headaches in the future. And then while we're on geometry, it's the unclear visual read. We're talking about immersion. We need to keep in mind how, if I'm making, I'll use Last of Us as an example. We know there's a specific metric for a mantle. You also have like a weird sort of buffer zone. If it's just a little bit shorter than that mantle height, now the player's confused. Oh, is this a mantle or isn't it? Or if it's a little bit too tall, the player's asking themselves, is this a mantle or isn't it? And they break immersion. They remember they're playing a video game. So you need to be asking yourselves, can the player guidance be solved with art? So if the player looks like I can go somewhere, and in their head they're saying, well, I look like I can go up here, but I can't. Oh yeah, the video game doesn't want me to go here. Normally this can be solved with art and just some set dressing. It can also be solved vice versa. I want the player to go up here, but in our playtesting, the players never find the path out. They always get lost. They always get turned around. Art could probably solve that. It's probably nothing to do with like something that design can solve. It's a environment art issue. And now there's stuff on top of that. There's UI, there's dialogue, there's animation of characters helping you, but they're all band-aids on top of the systemic issue. The root issue. The root issue is we didn't frame the art up very well to help guide the player out, so we're having to rely on heavy-handed solutions. So that was like a whole bunch of like theory, and the worst part or the hardest part of all of this is this doesn't tend to happen right at the beginning of pre-production. When we're designing the level, there is a bunch of ideas. There's a bunch of assumptions. We think we know how the game's going to come together. And once we start making it, we run into a bunch of issues. So what's the hardest part? It's being flexible. It is being willing to work with our teams to help make their lives easier. As I mentioned earlier, it's about empathy. Keep it in mind, we as a studio, as game artists and game designers and programmers are all pulling towards a common goal. We all want to release a really good game. And it is so easy to finish your little piece of the game and then never want to change it because you finished it. And we said we were going to do something and we did it and it looks great and I don't want to touch it. But then it comes along that we've made someone else's life difficult, or changes emerge, content gets cut, mechanics get cut, things didn't work out the way we expected. We, as game developers, need to really embrace being flexible. This is I think, the best skill I see in any of my peers who I see succeed in this industry. They are able to be flexible. They are able to adhere to changes, understand changes. And to give you some examples, talent law. We had this canyon. We get through the canyon, and there's a cinematic. It's like a flashback. And we just had the issue of we can't get perfect lead up into the cinematic. What was happening was, because the canyon was like 2 meters wide, the player would, if they're on like the wall, walking along the wall of the canyon, there would be like this horrible like transition into the cinematic, and it never looked good. So design asked, hey, I know this art's pretty well developed, but we need a squeeze through. This required new content because we didn't really have squeeze through in this level, so we need to design some new assets to hold up when Cal gets his face right up to it, and it allowed them to control the reveal into the cinematic. This is just one example where this art was almost finished. We needed this late change because we thought it would work. We thought this would be something that would just work out, and it didn't, and this required us to make changes. So there's emergent needs like this. Then there's combat needs. Combat is probably the thing which, and like any developer who's listening knows this, combat is the thing that gets tuned right up until release. It's always changing because you get playtest feedback as systems come online. You realize some things don't work, and combat is the thing which will be the bane of every environment artist's life, because right up until you've finished, it's polished, it's all done, changes will come in. For example, this fight takes place over 2 levels. Originally took place over 3, and there was a huge pit at the bottom. Then we removed the pit. It went to 1 level, and then we realized we still wanted the 2nd level, so we had to add the 2nd level back in. And then there was this teleport tunnel thing, and there's all these things we had to add late into the development. And it was all on polished art that we had to either scrap redo, rework, and that's completely fine. That's part of game development. So combat changes always come in. And then the one which we're normally a little bit happier about or a bit more willing is, cinematic changes. It's one which I think environment artists are probably a little bit quicker to adhere to, a little bit quicker to be okay with, but nonetheless, there are changes that come in, which requires to be flexible. We put the characters come online, the lighting's coming together, the background's too noisy, or the composition in the background isn't great. Can we adjust the environment out to help frame things up better? Again, polished art on a huge structure like the temple going into Tanalor. It's a huge, rigid structure. It's not easy to change, but the cinematics are even harder to change. So it became let's adjust the environment art. And this, again, is completely fine. And this is perfectly normal in game development. And this is why I want to aim the talk at young developers, because I know from experience, I was a very, I want to say rigid junior. I did not like change. I got very frustrated. I still get frustrated now and I have to catch myself when change is asked for on content, which in my head, I've already signed off as it's finished, not touching, it's done. And being okay with needing to still iterate further is perfectly normal. And we're sometimes okay with it. If an art director gives you notes, we're more than happy to adjust the polish if the art director asks. When other departments ask, granted, these are bigger changes, but we're a little bit more rigid. And it's kind of understandable why we're rigid, because these are mistakes. Like, if you're feeling like, oh, well, they asked for change and it should have got figured out ages ago, you are 100% right. Changes late in game development are because we made assumptions or we made best guesses that didn't play out the way we thought they would. And they are mistakes that we are trying to correct, or as a studio, we're trying to correct. So if you're feeling frustrated when this sort of stuff comes up, yes, that's good. Like, that's reasonable. But just understand you're valid in how you feel. It doesn't mean we don't need to make the changes. And all of this stuff is about earning good, building trust. I feel like the developers who I have strong trust with, it is so easy to work with. And the reason it's easy to work with is because I know they have the game's best interest in mind. When we collaborate and we are flexible and we are willing to iterate and hear each other out and understand each other's problems, it makes it a lot easier to have those disagreements with people in a healthy way. There's a colleague of mine, a designer who we get on very well. And there's a phrase he came up with, which is, we are able to argue in good faith. Me and him will bash heads, like we argue about like cat and dog over things. But I will never hold it against him and he will never hold it against me, because we are both pulling in the direction of we want to make the best game. And I know, even though we had a massive disagreement over an idea, if what we are arguing about gets us to the best route, we're happy. And he will never then throw that argument at me in 2 weeks, because we're done. We'll just working. So this is why we want to build that healthy collaboration. So take from this talk, I hope it proves useful, but I want to summarize some points. This is about leveling you up as a game developer. You are already a fantastic artist. You got hired as a professional artist. You already have a base level of skill. This will make your day job easier. Like, learning to collaborate with people and learning to have empathy for one another, learning to have empathy for other people's challenges they face, will make your day-to-day life easier. It allows you to foresee problems. It allows you to be aware of what people are dealing with. So when they ask for something, you have a much broader understanding of what they're asking for. It helps prevent arguments. Now, disagreements are natural, and disagreements probably isn't the right word here, but it helps prevent arguments turn into problems. Like I previously mentioned with one of my colleagues, a designer, like I said, we argue like cat and dog. We're constantly debating and talking about an idea of how to solve a specific problem, but that never escalates because we are healthy collaborators, and by developing that understanding of each other, it really helps. Just you feel like powerhouses, like you've really just solved problems quickly. It grows your holistic vision of the project. Like, again, as I mentioned right at the beginning, having a broad understanding of the project is really important. And the broader and the more deep that understanding is, the better the game developer you are, because you have the nuanced detail and understanding of what we're making. If I talk to a developer who probably worked on something like Forza, their understanding of what goes into making a racing game versus being 1 year in versus 10 years in is not just about their ability to generate good art. It's about their decision making, their problem solving, and anticipating things coming down the line. And with all of this, we want healthy creative friction. Friction is good. It is perfectly natural when you're trying to solve problems in the short term. Friction is completely normal, but we want healthy friction. And that comes from starting from a position of empathy, willing to be flexible, and willing to collaborate with each other. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I really hope that there's some good questions and a good Q&A, because this is a very broad topic that will vary at every studio at every level. You go to BioWare, they're going to have a whole different perspective of everything I just spoke about versus talking to Playground Games versus talking to Blizzard. So as you progress through your career, and hopefully this will help you progress, understand it gets more and more nuanced. And it's about taking some of the ideas I've just spoken about and apply them into your specific circumstances. So that was my talk, Pretty Isn't Playable, designing environments for video games. I am going to look through some of the questions, and hopefully there's some questions. I haven't been able to look at the chat, so
there's a few of them. That was a super good presentation.
Thank you.
It's it's a deeper topic that like you see everywhere once you get into games. But yeah, so I did try and grab the questions, and there's a couple of them. So one of them's more of like just a core understanding, right? So the first one's like, what is nav mesh, if you had to describe it? Do you want to use your camera, by the way?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay,
I'll turn on my camera.
I'm gonna turn mine on too. We can be together. There we go. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So the first question was what is nav mesh? Nice office, by the way.
Thank you. You can thank Charlotte. She is the one who. Great bit of trivia. As an environment artist, I am terrible at interior design. Every idea I have had in interior design has turned out terrible, and every idea Charlotte has had, I have said is terrible, and it turns out to be amazing. So the office is all Charlotte's doing. However, nav mesh. So nav mesh is a very complicated system. It is probably the most brittle system at every studio I've ever worked at. It breaks very easily, and it typically is a level designer's responsibility to maintain. Nav mesh is generated over the top of an environment, and it basically dictates to the AI where they can and can't go. So bad nav mesh might have this geometry, this mesh that sits on top of the environment might go to undesirable locations, and that means the AI will do really weird pathing stuff, which we don't like. This could also result in the AI, for example, leaving the level or sitting in a corner, or if the nav mesh isn't smooth around the edges, they might get like hung up on sharp little angles. Any change to height within an environment and the discrepancy varies from like game to game, but let's just say half a meter, you're going to drastically affect nav mesh. And depending on the type of game you're making, if it's a cover-based shooter, if it's something like adaptive cover, if it's a Jedi, hop around like a madman sort of thing, if it's a Souls-like, it's nav mesh will have lots of different effects. But if I was to like dumb it down in the most reductive way possible, it is the mesh that sits on top of the environment that tells the AI where they can and can't go. I think it's the most reductive way I could describe it.
Yeah. It's derived from the collision, right? Like the collision will cut at least in my scenarios, it's derived from the collision.
Yeah, it is. but then you get annoying situations. For example, in Unreal, blueprints, depending on how the collision is set up, will just destroy nav mesh. Like, this is why it gets funny. Why being aware of your environment art is very important. Yes, like it is derived off the simple collision, but certain systems do not play nicely with nav mesh because nav mesh is very brittle. So blueprints can break it, PLAs can break it. If you have different collision profiles, that can break it.
So it's
God, there's
important to
so
just
much.
check. You just basically need to
Yes.
turn on nav mesh and look at it and make sure it's actually there. And if it's not, then
And
you
tell your
understand how to
designer.
debug it.
Yeah, and understanding what actually changes it, because there are some changes. If I'm doing some ground detailing with decals, I don't need to tell the designer I've made a change. But if I'm like, this was flat, but I've added like a crater into the ground, tell your designer, because they need to know, nav mesh will be different here, and I might need to regenerate. Or if you're really nice as an artist, you could also regen nav yourself. But further into production you go, the more nav mesh becomes like a hands-off, don't touch it, because it's so brittle and complicated the later you get. You can do a whole talk on just maintaining good nav mesh.
Yeah, there's a lot to it for sure. That's interesting. It's very different from like, I guess the way we generate ours at my office is it's not as brittle, or it doesn't sound as
Unreal
brittle.
Engine is awful. Unreal's now. I've worked with Unreal Engine now for like over 10 years, and it's always been bad. Like, I mean, the only time it was good was at Counterplay, and that was because we had big discs. It was like a head slasher, and it's just like big discs. Don't
Big
put
open,
any geometry there.
no collision.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like no changes. Has to be a really flat arena. And that was really good because we were like kind of free because we had no like buddies or anything. You could have really complicated terrain. You climbed up and stuff, but the combat areas where the nav mesh was, it's like don't fuck with it. Like keep it where it is.
Yeah,
It's very fun.
Do you think that people need to be showing this, like their understanding of nav mesh in portfolios? It was one of the other questions.
No, absolutely not. Nav mesh is something that is if you're not making a video game in your portfolios, I think, and it's completely project dependent. It's something that is that project dependent. I think is also, I don't think you could easily set up nav mesh like in Unreal Engine. You could set up all those systems, but I would never expect an environment artist to do it. And I'll be honest, I think it could be detrimental to you. If you start to show me like, hey, I've set up nav mesh on this project and like my AI navigate over it, I'm like, are you interviewing for an environment art role or are you interviewing for a level design role?
Yeah, so maybe if it's a level design portfolio, then it makes more sense.
Absolutely, yes. I think it's important to show that understanding.
Let's see what that aligns with how I imagine it as well. Because I think if you're a level designer, it makes much more sense, especially if you're trying to show something really complex about how your AI is navigating space, and then showing the nav mesh behind it. It's like, oh wow, okay, they're doing it this way.
Also understanding that you can use nav mesh to manipulate AI. Like you can be very clever with it to get them to take certain paths, and like you can do a lot of clever stuff with it. So as a designer, I think you could showcase some cool things.
Yeah, it's maybe one of the other things that's quite interesting about nav mesh is if you see something happen in the environment that blocks the enemies from being able to go that way, that's usually they're actually blocking or cutting the nav mesh. And then now the AI is like, oh, I can't go that way, and then they have to go around.
Oh god, yeah, because then you start getting into so most games I've worked on, they do like nav mesh based on cost. So like the cost of like the way the AI figures out where to go is how much does it cost me to make this move. There's a Naughty Dog talk on this, which is really good for Last of Us 1 on the GDC Vault, but which our game director showed me. And it's like, there's an AI in front of you and there's a cost. If I run straight forward, it's like it's a straight line, it's good nav mesh, but I'm running at the player, so it's got a really high cost. Versus the long route around on the nav mesh, it can count how much nav mesh there is and attribute that has a cost because it's longer, but you're safe, so it has a lower cost. So then there's that's a whole of a layout on top of nav mesh that gets like really
it gets kind of wild.
Yes.
The next question was, when building environment art around game design, are there any specific challenges that come up working on levels designed with multiple or hidden paths?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing is like trying to, when you make an environment, you have cursor knowledge, and cursor knowledge is like, it is a curse. Like, it's called that for a reason, because what you think makes sense in your head as a path to fresh pair of eyes without your context makes no sense. It's like when you see some UI designs done by somebody who has no UX experience, and it's like, but it's beautiful design, and it's put like this beautiful flow, and it looks fantastic. It's like you put it into a fresh person's hand, and they're like, I don't know what to press, I don't know where to go. And that tends to be the challenge when making environment art. Is okay, we have like golden paths, we have like important side routes, which would have like loot or economy, and then you have like secret paths or like advantageous paths. And it's not necessarily just about readability, it's also the purpose of it. So I'll use combat because combat's a really good example of this. How do I show a player that this route is dangerous? Okay, well, we'll make it open. Okay, but by making it open, I know that's the way I want to go. Okay, how do I show there's a safe route? Okay, there's like lots of cover. Okay, but what if I want to make it dangerous and give you cover to make it a spot that you can fight from? Okay, well, now we need to like think about, maybe it's concealment. So I hide in concealment. I'm vulnerable because if I start fighting, I'll die. Like Jedi, we had this as well. Like if you're trying to find a route to find some loot, it's like we want you to earn it and feel like you're smart. And through playtesting, we ended up cutting a bunch of this from like my level, but it's like we tried to make you feel smart. It turned out it was way too difficult. No one understood. Like, yeah, you got to get around this corner, get to an edge, double jump, and do this. Like trying to have that empathy of what the player will feel like when they see your environment is the hardest thing. It's why I trust designers a lot with this sort of stuff, because the reason they're designers is they're good at putting themselves in the player's shoes and going, okay, as a fresh player, I don't think this is why I feel like environment art and design clash so much. Like environment art do an amazingly beautiful, detailed thing, and design say to you, "Well, that doesn't look clear to me." And you're like, and artists say, "What do you mean? It doesn't look clear? Like it's super obvious. Look, there's rocks, and I can go up that." And it's like, yeah, but it doesn't look like a path. I don't feel like that's a path. And that like phrase, it doesn't feel right, is so hard to like dig into and discern. So back to the initial question, like with what the challenges you face working with design on an environment and with side paths and hidden paths and all that sort of stuff, the biggest challenge is trying to put yourselves in a player's shoes, because you've got your job to make it look pretty. Like say the game is based in Nepal, all this reference of all this amazing stuff and this your biome and your palette of assets and all that sort of stuff. It's like, how do I make this look beautiful and readable and make the player feel smart when they discover a side path and make them understand that the path they're taking has certain gameplay implications? It's like there's so much stuff to balance. So that's where I feel like the biggest boon you have as an environment artist is really lean on your other teams. A good tip, something that when I worked with the designer I mentioned in the talk, actually, he brought in when we were making levels together, we would get other colleagues who aren't working on levels to come playtest and just run around it, like just try and navigate. And it really helped us find the pain points early. So lean on your team, because I promise you, when you're the one working on something, you have blinders on and you will not see the problems. You will only see your art and your content. So you really need to lean on the other people on the project.
Yeah, I guess the thing you're talking about as well is the stickiness. We often refer to it as the stickiness of the environment. Like you're turning a corner really sharp, and you just catch the edge of the nav mesh, and then it just stops the character in their tracks. Like it's such a common.
Oh, it's so annoying. Because especially if you have like cameras too, like like on Jedi, this absolutely killed me, because you're following ref, and I've got this like in the viewport, this looks the right width, and I'm like, this looks amazing, cool, all the stuff. And I get on a stick, so I'm like, this feels, like you said, sticky, it feels uncomfortable, I don't move through this naturally. Small deflections of the stick left and right will like get me caught on shit. And it's like, oh, increase the width by like 30%, and you're like, this looks really weird in the viewport, but then you play and like, oh, this feels great. Yeah, that stickiness thing drove me insane on Jedi. Like I was making a corridor and it drove me insane.
Yeah, it's I mean, this is exactly why doorways end up becoming really strangely wide as well, because it's just like it's all navigation and flow and just being able to keep moving.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think also just on that note, I always think of the meme people do on Last of Us. Where it's like, oh, the doors are gigantic. I'm like, yeah, but when you're playing, do you ever notice? Like, you just feel it just feels right. But when you stop and look at a lot of the art, you're like, these doors are gigantic squares, and it's like you don't remember when you play. Like you see it in the screenshots, but like when you're playing, you don't remember any of that.
yeah. No, it has everything to do with the way they're using their cameras as well in their FOV.
Yeah.
One of the questions, it's maybe, I wouldn't say it's too off topic, but it's just like, how important is it to know PCG in an Unreal Engine project? Because with you using Unreal for so much time now, like as an environment artist, are you using PCG to that extent that it's important to have in like your portfolio or to know it?
I think yes. Like, so it's funny because I know if any of my colleagues are listening, I personally hate PCG. I hate a lot of procedural tech because
Why is that?
you get to you get to a point. It depends on the game you're making. Like on something a lot tighter, I really like just. I always feel like that's not quite where I want it to be. Like I'm very particular.
Just wanna...
But one thing I'll say is during like any, I think you should definitely you should know it because in pre-prod or any kind of like iterative stage, it is incredible how fast it is. Like, oh, I've got a path, and I want to put like let's use a Ghost of Tsushima example, right? Like you're riding a horse through a field of yellow flowers. Painting that down with the foliage tool would take forever. Having just a giant spline you put down and it puts it all down for you. And then you can tweak you can really macro balance. Like open world games, I think PCG is incredible. There's so much like versatility to it, and you can use it to do a lot of cool stuff. I pull it about, when like you say to someone, you should probably know how to author a material. Do you need to be able to make the most crazy, insane materials in the world? No, but you should probably know, if you were told to, how to author a material. I put PCG about the same spot. I'm like, you should know PCG. You should have a rudimentary understanding of it. And if you were told to, have a understanding of how you would use it. Does it need like to be a hard skill, like as a mandatory? Not necessarily, but I think it's one of those things where it's like it's starting to become expected because it's growing as a system. It's very versatile. It can do a lot of cool stuff, and all it does is add a feather to your cap as an environment artist. Like if you have an environment artist who is like an expert in Houdini, for example, it's just like, oh well, that's just set that person up above the other guy. So if you're like, oh, I've got all the same hard skills as the other guy, but also I have a really good knowledge of PCG, it's like, okay, well that's a boon. That's really good. It's another skill you have. So I think it's worth knowing. I think even though like at times I hate it, I think it's worth knowing.
Yeah, at least like you're saying, the rudimentary or the base level understanding of it, like what it does, how it works,
the
benefits you could get,
like how you'd implement it, when it's the wrong thing to do. Like I remember you remember Ben Wilson, but I remember I talked to him ages ago about material art, and I was really bummed out because I used Marvelous Designer on making a material, and I was like, oh, it feels like cheating. And he's like, are you an idiot? Like, dude, you're making a material, who cares? Like, know when to break the tool. And I think knowing when is the wrong time to use a tool is also really important. So like that's why I think knowing PCG is important, because it is with some of my mentees at Sierra Division, they're very quick to hear PCG and I'll shoehorn it into the project. I'm like, this isn't the right project for it. Like,
I mean,
not
saying
here.
shoehorn as well, I'm like, you get a little triggered from just hearing that.
Yes.
This next question is from Timothy. And I had a similar question, just because I think it's really important to cover. Are there any specific ways that you would recommend to learn to be more flexible or collaborative with other disciplines?
Oh,
it's a really good. This is a good one.
Yeah, this has took years for me to develop because I am a very strong-headed person, stubborn. Like I am a very stubborn person, which is what I'm really having to learn to not be. Again, I imagine if there's any colleagues watching, they're laughing. But I think it just starts with like, for me, my hack to make me be more flexible or willing to be flexible is the project has to come first. Like, this isn't my project. It is the game director's or the creative director's project. It's not mine. This project is not a reflection on me. Like, it's a game. It's a product we're making. And if I truly believe that my decision or the thing I want to do will make the project better, that's when you should be willing to have that discussion. And I say discussion, it could be an argument, it could be a debate, but like you need to be willing to keep the project first. If someone says to you, look, we have had like 20 playtests and all of them, no one finds a way out. You need to, as an artist, go, well, I am responsible for this and I want this project to be good. So I should make this change because it makes the project better. And I think that really helped me because I have a lot of ego, but my ego is tied to the project. I want to be on the project or the game that people would. I think about like Dead Space or Gears of War, where it's like these games we talk about 10 years later, like long after they've sort of finished. And I want to work on a project like that. So for me, this hack is tied a lot in my own weird ego of I want this game to be as good as it could possibly be. So therefore, I should be flexible if it calls for it. So that's the way I've hacked my brain to do it. It's definitely not for everybody. I've definitely also invested probably too much of myself in my work, but that's how I that's how I do it.
Right. It makes sense. This kind of like coincides with what you're just talking about. But after years of these workflows that you've been developing of like how you work, how have you changed based on anticipating these issues that you come across? I think I'm reading this question correctly. Let me double check. As the years go on, do your workflows change based on anticipating those changes you were talking about? I'm not sure what.
Yeah. I think I do. Like when I join a studio, I definitely engross myself in understanding the game you're making, and then try to build workflows that suit it. And you sort of, as you get more experience, the kind of problems that come up. Like I said, there are certain things that are agnostic to the project, like water tightening will always be an issue. It is no project you'll ever work on where this is not a problem. And knowing there is always like the same 3 or 4 things you use to water tighten, the same tools, the same systems. So you can anticipate that, like, whenever I'm working on a game, I'm always keeping in the back of my mind, I need to develop a visual language for blocking. I need to have that. Okay, I need to have like 5 of these because if I use the same one, it's gonna look terrible. My actual hard skill workflow completely changes depending on the project, and even within the project, the context of the project. Again, you're a tool to the project in terms of hey, we need a icebreaker making. It's like, okay, I better get my like modeling boots on and open Blender and start modeling. We need a spaceship. It's like, okay, still same skill set. Okay, now we need a volcano. It's like, okay, better start looking at either sculpting or like Houdini. Like hard skills, I think, are the thing which they're completely dependent on the project. But the soft skills of like, I don't even know if I call them soft skills, but that game developer skill and a game developer sense. I don't know about you, but I definitely developed a spidey sense of this there's a problem here and it's not manifested yet, but I know there's a problem coming. And that's where you sort of, with experience, you start to try to get ahead of problems. I think that's actually probably, that's one thing that's changed about my workflows. I try to get ahead of problems a lot quicker. Like, I've seen
you're looking for
things
it to
blow
happen.
up. Yeah, because I've seen them complete railroad productions in the past. And it's like, okay, if I get a whiff of that happening again, it's like, okay, I know it's not a problem right now, but let's try and get ahead of it. That's definitely something that's changed over the years just with experience.
Right. So this person's called the Bat. I love it.
Nice.
I'm interested in what strategies do you use in resolving a conflict with differentiating opinions between designers and artists without ending up with someone being super something being super watered down or super compromised. It's like trying to find that balance, right?
Yeah. So apparently I've been told this is something I'm relatively good at, so I'm hoping I can speak to this with some confidence. So the first thing is you need to understand their perspective. Like I mentioned before, like you need to understand what they're trying to achieve. And a way I do this a lot, don't ever strawman somebody. Like if somebody gives you a perspective, don't try to win the argument. Like never try to win the argument. Like it's just never worth it. If you win and they lose, that's the worst case. That's the worst case scenario, because now there's going to be a bit of resentment because they lost and they're unhappy, and you two are a team and you've got to work together to make a project. And if that person's upset, that's going to come back to bite you at some point. So you don't want to win the argument. The best case scenario is everyone leaves with a solution that everyone's happy about. That's not always possible. There are plenty of things I've disagreed with people on in the past, and I've like, look, I'm going to make my case. Here's why I'm unhappy. Here's what I would do. And then the person says to me, well, heard, but we're doing this for this reason. And this is what we're going to do, because they're like, yeah, we're game director or something. And you say, okay, cool. I had my opportunity to voice my concern and you heard it, and we're not going with it. You need to be okay with that first and foremost. You need to be like, if you got heard out of your idea, great, you had your opportunity. So on a more like peer-to-peer level, I find it really helpful to repeat back to people what I think I heard. So if I am working on Jedi and someone says, the reveal of the temple isn't very good right now, I don't feel like I see the temple. It's kind of like I just see the ground. I say, okay, so your issue is not that you saw the ground. Your issue is that you never saw the temple through the entire reveal, and you want to be able to see the temple. And they say, yes, that's exactly what my problem is. It's like, cool, okay, now we can start talking. And if they say, no, my issue is actually I see the ground. I don't want to see any ground. I want to like come to a cliff edge and I just want to see nothing but vista. Okay, cool. So you don't want to see any ground. You just want to see vista. Like, yes. It's like, okay, cool. Like me repeating back to people what I think I heard and them agreeing to what I say is like the fundamental start of like a good discussion, because it means they've said something, I've understood it, and we've agreed that's what we're talking about. I feel like I've watched so many conversations spiral where one person thinks they're talking about one thing and the other person thinks they're talking about another thing. And then there's lots of friction. It's like, I know you're not listening to me. You're not hearing what I'm frustrated by. I'm frustrated by the nav mesh. And it's like, yeah, but the nav mesh is fine because we didn't change collision. No, it's not the collision that's the problem. It's the fucking nav mesh. And it's like, you're laughing, but you know it because you've seen this happen a few times.
You're just like watching people chase their tails in circles
yes.
as they're getting more and more enraged, and then the teams are getting further apart because of it.
Yes, and I feel like that like declaration of like, hey, this is what I think you're talking about. Can we agree on that? We're agreeing on this. It's like, yes, that's what we're talking about. Fantastic. When you do that one thing, I feel like most discussions go pretty well, because in order for you to say that, you need to have some understanding of what their problem is. And another word which is like, it's super loaded and your tone can completely change how this comes across, but why? If someone says to you, hey, I don't like this art, can you change it? You go, why? Oh, that's really petulant. It's like, well, what's wrong with this guy? Asked for a change and they're being really weird. Why are they not making the change? It's so strange. Versus, hey, I want to make this change. And you say, okay, can you explain to me what that change would do? Can you help me understand why you want that change? What's the win here? And they explain it to you. And you, by doing that, you could sometimes find out, oh, wait, you're trying to solve a problem. So you're trying to solve a symptom. There's an underlying problem we need to solve. Let's talk about that instead. Or they might say something to you which you were just completely ignorant to. This has happened to me so much. Like, is someone says, oh, we need to make this change. I'm like, why? It's fine. Like, can you explain to me what the problem is? Oh, well, actually, Cal Kestis has this other ability, and by this point in the game, he has this extra ability which allows him to get to this point. I'm like, I didn't take that into account for anything. Okay, cool. Thank you. I am now more educated. So learning to understand the other person, which means sometimes asking why, learning to not win the argument, which is the hardest bit because we are human and we don't like being wrong, but it is that most important bit. And then learning to regurgitate what people are saying.
I hear those beeps.
I know.
Bloop.
Actually, I'm also stop sharing. I just realized we're on camera, so I can just do this. Yeah, I think just learning to get on the same page, make sure you're speaking about the same thing. Most of the time when I do that, conversations go well. Doesn't mean I always get what I want, but it normally means we leave the conversation with a mutual understanding that we made the right decision.
Right. Are you good with 3 more questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this one is there anything studios you've been at do what do they do to help people get a sense of the work that's happening outside of their own teams?
Oh, studios are terrible at this.
Yeah,
It kills me. It's really bad. So every studio I've been at, I have done the same 2 things. At least the studio since like Deco. I start hanging out in a lounge. Like I form a channel in Slack or in Teams where that's where I spend my day. I hang out and I encourage people to hang out too. And you speak to different departments or you speak to different team members. That's one thing. Like try to talk to your teammates more. The other thing is show and tells. Artists can be really weird about wanting to show stuff. Like it's
they want it to be
specifically as
done.
art. Yeah, and I'm like, in studios, I always have to set this example of like, I will share the nastiest blockouts. Be like, hey, here's my like first whip. It looks really bad, but like, hey, this is the idea on Tanalore. We're going towards a flooded level. Looks dog shit, but like, you get where it's going. Trying to share regularly helps people. And it's the weird thing about it is, some people will say, well, no one reacted, no one said anything, so like no one's seeing it. It's like, yeah, but they will see it in passing. They will stop by a VFX artist, will look at it and go, oh yeah, we're doing water on that level, cool. And then forget about it for 2 months. And then they'll come back and like, oh yeah, no, there's a question. Do we have water in the game? Yeah, there's a level later on, there's water on that level. We can like use it or whatever. So I think they're 2 things I've had to implement, like in studios I've been at. Just because I've seen them work. There's a lot. The difficult thing is, especially in remote work, studios have too many Teams channels or Slack channels, so it's easy for people to be like, "Well, stuff just gets lost in the void." I really try to encourage people to try and, even if you don't read the messages, just do a cursory glance. If you see images, just see what the image is, and try and read through your Slack regularly. Because you'll just absorb a lot of knowledge about the project generally by doing that. But to the initial question, what do studios do to help? Very little. Like, it's just a really hard thing to do because every person in the studio is different. Some people just don't want to know. They're too like in their bubble of work to have time to pay attention to that sort of stuff. You can't really ram it down people's throats and make them absorb the information. So they're the 2 things I would do, like from my perspective as an individual who can try and contribute, is share my work regularly and try to force people to speak to me. And be like, hey, I haven't spoken to you in ages. Do you want to hang out in a lounge and chat? Or hey, Mr. Guy, I haven't spoken to you in ages. Do you want to help in a quick huddle and just talk for a bit while we work? And that's proved really effective. There's a lot of people like about any studio I've been at where I've made some really good friends by just like having regular hangouts with completely different departments to me.
That's really good to do.
And it's proved very helpful because I've caught it sounds so cheesy, but I have caught so much stuff where like I knew it was coming down the pipe just because I asked, like, hey, what are you working on? Are you excited by? And I feel like one thing with studios do, which I dislike, is they'll be like, we're gonna spend 5 minutes at the end of a town hall and we're going to put 5 random developers together and you're going to talk about your favorite book. And it's like, this is good for like developing peer-to-peer communication and relationships, but does not grow my understanding of the project whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, studios are bad at this. It's hard. It's a pretty hard problem to solve.
It is a hard problem to solve. And every project that starts, even at the same studio, if you solved it on the previous project, it like reinvents itself and you have to resolve it.
Yes.
Which I don't know
it's
how that happens.
Around a lot.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Even when I've been to different studios with the same people.
Yeah,
and I'm having
It's
to
like they
resolve
forget.
it with the same people.
Yeah. With so there's a Nomen talk about Naughty Dog artists having on-call concept artists. Is that how common do you feel like that is in AAA?
On call? No, I don't think it's on call. I think that's a little bit. Yeah, I'd say that's disrespectful of a
It
concept
sound
artist. They're not
yeah
on call for your beck and call. They have their own things to deal with. We have you can make Jiras. You can be we have
yeah
every
like a
studio I've been at, there's
request.
normally a bot. Yeah, bot. There's mandatory fields because one thing I think people do is they ask for a concept. At least at some of the smaller studios I've been at, I want a concept. I want this area, and it's okay, what do you want? So some of the more developed studios I've seen, there's a bot, and it's you need to put a screenshot in, you need to give a description of what you're looking for, and all that sort of stuff, and it will get worked in. There's a producer who will work it into the schedule. On call, no, I don't think there's any department who's just at your beck and call.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
And then people you collaborate with,
Yeah.
there's a designer who I will always go to for the particular level I'm on, or a lighter who's responsible for a level, and they are there to ask questions, and you can ask them for things like, hey, is it possible to it's a question.
Yeah.
It's, hey, can you make this update? And they're like, no, we're not going to get it till next milestone, or yeah, that's super easy, I'll do that. Yeah, no, I don't like that, actually. I don't like the idea of on call. I think that's really
I wonder if that's just a
rude.
poor word choice, because that sounds weird.
Probably. Yeah, I think that's probably a poor word choice.
Because that doesn't. I don't think I've ever seen that. I've seen where
you have strike teams.
Yeah, or we noticed that this one area is not developing fast enough, and then you talk to the team, and they're like, oh, we don't really know how it looks. So you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you assign, kind of like a strike team, you assign 1 or 2 concept artists to help them answer these questions.
Yeah.
Last question.
Which is a super fun process.
yeah.
Like working with a concept artist on that and being here's 5 paint overs. And it's okay, let me just do another 3D, let me implement your paint over a little bit just to get the shapes in. And then you do another one, but change it a little bit, and it becomes like working with a designer. You're collaborating with it. Then you have the art director obviously giving more feedback. But it's a fun process, man. Working with concept artists. It's something I missed early about pre-prod. Pre-prod's so fun for working with.
Yeah, because
Close
you
with
can
your
just
concept art team,
flowing and
it's all big
trying
picture.
a bunch of stuff, and yeah. Okay, the last question. This one might be difficult to answer, but how do you keep motivated on a project that seems unlikely to ship?
I would say lean on the thing I said earlier. It's not yours. It's not a reflection in you. And I feel like I've had I've worked on projects which haven't shipped. The fact that they don't ship has nothing to do with you. Be selfish about it. If you're in fact, even if you don't know it's going to ship or no ship, you're growing as a game developer. And my time at any studio, from where I start to where I finish, I grow exponentially due to my time there. Not because I posted it on my portfolio, not because I got a 95 Metacritic. I grew as a developer through doing the time there. When you feel like you're low motivation, I think just keep in mind you are growing, and this time is not for nothing. You still got something out of this. It sucks. I am absolutely understand it. It sucks when the game doesn't get shipped and the project doesn't make it. It's probably one of the worst feelings as a game developer. The silver lining I tried to find is I still grew because of it. And there is a and also there's the people you meet a lot. This is gonna sound so corny, but the people you meet along the way, it's the strongest thing you can do as a game developer is build strong connections in this industry. It's very small, and yeah, if you're at a studio, it's gonna get canned. Man, focus on yourself, grow, build those connections, because you're gonna meet a lot of these people again down the road, and you're gonna be a much better artist because of it, and developer. It does suck. Everything I'm saying is trying to find a silver lining over what is just an awful situation.
Well, the other thing is you're not alone usually when you feel that.
Yeah.
And it's likely everyone around you is feeling the same, but we're all just kind of pushing to try and keep going and try and make it happen. And being able to band together with the other developers to just try and make stuff work it's like you're in the trenches with them, so to say. But
Yeah, you are. And I have formed some great like in other studios, past studios, like those trenches of when you know something's not great.
mm,
You do see a side of people, like you see who people are when they're at their lowest. And I feel like that's where you build those relationships. Like if everything's always sunshine and roses, you don't really know someone. But when you've been on a project, for example, like 5 years,
yeah.
and you've seen them when it's going great, and you've seen them when it's going bad, and you see a full spectrum of what a person could be, you really know that person at that point.
It's true. That's so true. Well, okay. I think that was all of the questions. There was a comment about wondering if I answered a question, but I think I got it. Let me check real quick. Okay, yeah, I got it. Cool. I accidentally skipped one, and Martin made sure I got it. So, but cool. No, this was great, man. Those are some really. First of all, the presentation was really good, and it touches on topics that not a lot of people talk about, which I think is great. And then the questions that were asked and like what we dove into with it. I hope you don't mind me jumping in with you on the questions.
No, you know what I'm like with podcasts, man. I love a conversation.
Yeah, dude. I think it's those types of those questions and the answers we were talking about there's a lot of value there. So
yes, I agree.
Really appreciate you taking the time, dude.
I appreciate you putting all this on, man. This is all you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you and your team.
Yeah.
But you're the one who started all this 10 years ago, man. Like,
it's crazy.
Crazy to think where it is now.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm like, what? When? What happened? I got Madu here too. He's just passed out. He's like, he's out cold. I would move him, but he'd
We'll
get
do
mad.
now, because when we met, you were as a senior artist, and now you're an art director. I remember doing that blog a while ago, the 3 years of development. I had 3 portfolio reviews from you. Like the first one, the one where I was starting to get my shit together,
Yeah.
and then the one where like, okay, I'm starting to figure it out. Do a 4th one where it's like, okay, from a non-industry person to an expert from an art director. It could be a fun one. But no, you've been a part of a lot of people's journeys, and I know it's easy to get caught up in how busy this is, but you should be very proud of everything you've done.
Thanks, man. Dude, yeah, we should have that talk. I think it would be really interesting.
Be very fun.
All right. I'm going to free you so you can...
Free.
I don't know. You said you
everyone.
had the U.S. was working, or they were on lunch.
Yes.
So are you working again
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Wild.
Couple of hours.
Yeah. Dude.
It's
That's
fine.
crazy. Yeah. All right, dude. Thank you again. We'll catch up again soon. And we'll make that video you were talking about. I think it sounds really good.
That sounds fun. All right, but you take care. Have a great weekend. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.